Ladies and gentlemen, look who we have here, Luke Dale, Lord. How are you? Oh man, this is a pleasure for me. How are you, mate? Thanks for taking the
I'm
time.
very well, sir. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
How are you feeling, man? Because this is a hell of a game, a hell of an experience for you. I know just before COVID, you were going through some dark times, and just tell us how you're feeling.
Oh man, it's really hard to express. I'm very tired because yeah, I'm working full time. I'm streaming. I'm auditioning for roles. It's very, very full time right now. But the thing is, I am a workaholic and I always have been. So it's not like anything new. It's just very intense right now. I imagine it will start to die down. But other than being tired, I am having the greatest time. It is so wonderful for the work that we've done to be so appreciated. And yeah, I'm the thing about being able to stream the game and engage with the fans is like this, the fact that it's a game means that it's like this well or this gold mine of content that I can play with. And so yeah, it's just like the gift that keeps on giving. I'm able to just have so much fun with the game and the fans, so it's really fun.
I feel like you can stretch the kind of marketing with a game more than you can a TV don't you think?
You totally can. Yeah, I do not know. Let me tell you, Dan, I do not know why more actors don't grab the opportunity. I mean, some of them do, but the thing I hear most of the time is that actors don't tend to stream the game. They don't really engage with the fans. You're like the fans have told me I'm more of an anomaly, and I'm like, what's wrong with them?
I
Like,
know.
come on, it's all there for the taking if you want to take it. But I don't know. I mean, some actors might want to take themselves a bit more seriously. I do not do that. I don't take myself seriously at all. And I think, have fun. That's the main MO for me in life.
Well,
So, yeah.
you're a prime example of how to do it right, man. The way you interact with the community, it's wholesome. You give them a bit. Sometimes you slip into the Lord himself here and there.
You got to do it, baby. You got to do it, baby. Yeah, I think it's I mean I've played him for nine. Well, I've been working on it for 9 years, played him for 9 years, so it's not it's almost like a part of him lives within me, and he just comes out every now and again. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun to do it.
How did you find working on him for the second game versus the first? Because you had a lot more to do, I feel, in this game.
Yeah, the first game, it felt like Hans was a bit more surface level, really. Like he's a good, fun character, but yeah, with the second you get a bit deeper and you get to understand the inner workings of his mind and what kind of person he really is and why he behaves like he does. And that was just a real joy to do because I was older and wiser and hopefully more mature, a bit more worldly, understood myself better. And so then I was able to dig deeper and get hopefully do the role a bit more justice. So as an actor and a performer, it was a gift and one that I really enjoyed.
I remember seeing an interview from the Warhorse channel from you
Mhm.
back in the first game, and you do look like a baby, man. It is a
Yeah,
long time ago, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah.
It's crazy to have been doing this for so long, and like I say, that's why it feels like he lives in me because it's just like a pair of old boots, I don't even have to try anymore. It's just all there. The work's been done. You play one character for that long. It's like what I would compare to like playing someone in Coronation Street or like a soap opera, like Neighbours for you. Like if you played
Hey.
yeah, if you played someone in Neighbours for 20 years, it's like, do you have to prepare? No. You just learn the lines, you show up. Like it feels like that now.
So you've got representation now because I think it was just basically a year ago. But now you
Yeah.
do have representation. You are looking into more games and things like that.
That's right. Yeah. So I
Nice.
had this big gap where I didn't have an agent for years, but I was working on the game. But I was focusing much more on filmmaking and building that as a secondary career. Well, what I thought was a primary career, but turned out to be secondary. And yeah, I didn't really know how I was going to get back into acting because getting an agent is incredibly hard. I must
Mm.
tell you, so hard because they don't look at you unless you have something to offer them of value. They don't care. You can have you can be the best performer, the most amazing actor in the world, but if they're not sure that you have a little iron in the fire somewhere, they're just not bothered. And fair enough to a degree. But I was like, well, maybe I can use the game as a bit of leverage and hopefully get an agent through that. So I did email a few and yeah, luckily got a couple that bit and I'm back in the saddle as it were, and I'm auditioning again now, which is just like insane. Yeah.
Have you got a different mindset now versus, 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah,
Oh my God. Yeah. So
yeah,
when I was auditioning 10 years ago, every audition felt like life and death. So
yeah. It's
if
not
I
the place to
didn't
be, is it?
no, and they can smell it in the room, in the casting room. They can tell. And I've been on the other side now, and I've auditioned
Mm.
people, and I can tell when someone really needs something. Like, and it doesn't feel good. You want someone to come in a room and nail it, and they don't need you, but they're really good, and they did something really interesting. I was going into rooms most of the time going, if I don't get this, I don't know how I'm going to make rent. And if I don't get this, I'm going to have to do another month of waiting tables, and which I hated. If I don't, it was so difficult to get out of that mindset and just enjoy the auditioning process, which is what you're meant to do. It's supposed to be an opportunity to have fun, an opportunity to flex your abilities. And it wasn't for me. It was like, oh my God, this is such a big deal every single time. And
That's a
now
lot of pressure, man.
it is, man. It is.
Jesus.
It really is. And now it's completely the opposite. I don't even think about my agents much at all. I don't think about auditions much. Obviously, I prepare for them and I try and do the best I can. But if I don't
Once it's
hear back,
done, yeah.
I just don't care because I'm too busy and there's too much going on and I'm happy, I'm fulfilled, I don't worry about money as much. And so I just think it'd be added bonus if I got something. And that's exactly how it should be, but it's so difficult to get to that point in life. And you have
Mm.
to have other things. So that's why I panicked at 23 years old, 24 years old. And I panicked and I said, I can't just have acting as my only skill set. I have to go and do something else and build another skill set so that I can rely on that and not everything feels so panicky and worrying about my future. I can settle. And that's kind of what's happening, which is great.
And you recommend that to people of a similar age or around, early actors?
I do, unless you are lucky enough to have another thing that
Yeah.
makes you money and keeps you fulfilled already do that like some of my friends one of them is he tutors maths because he's really good at maths. He's just got a natural aptitude for maths, so he tutors kids math and then he auditions, and it's so flexible because he does it over
Yeah.
Zoom. So
Mm.
that's like, if you've got that, then you're golden, right? And stuff like that. But I really didn't have anything else, so I really needed something else, which meant taking a step back away from acting because I wouldn't have been able to quickly forge that career, which takes great dedication and time, and still audition and keep my head
Mm.
because I might have got a play, and been out for 4 months, and like that's not possible. So I needed to like just do that, have clients that could rely on me, and build that career, which I did.
You want to show that tattoo on your arm just to show how real this is for you?
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I haven't spoken to a lot of actors who do that. That is really cool.
Yeah, no, I mean it was made by a fan and they sent it to me and I loved what she did and
Yeah.
I thought, you know what, why not? And it's like I say, it's just such a huge part of my life and the reason I'm back doing the thing I love. And as it's a way to so I get to look down at it, it reminds me of how far we've come, and yeah,
Mm.
it's great.
Do you get emotional looking at that? You get emotional looking back at all at
I
the
do,
journey
I
so
do,
far?
I do absolutely. Yeah, it's been a ride, and I owe everything to the game. I certainly wouldn't be acting again, have agents again, doing the thing that I love again if the game hadn't done well. I mean, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you if the game hadn't done well. and I mean, I put everything into the sequel. I mean, I put everything into the first one, but with the sequel, it was just more. I had more to do, and just to have that appreciated is so lovely. Yeah,
Did you
really
have a
great.
goal with the character for for this game versus the first?
Well, I think with any part, the goal is always to just make the role as visceral and real and honest as you possibly can. So the thing about Hans is that, and with Warhorse, the text is really good. So you don't
Extraordinary
have to.
writing.
It's extraordinary, and I try not to embellish or add my own flavor. I just play the part and the text as honestly as I can, and it does the work for you. And Tom would say the same. Any of the actors would say the same. It's easy for us in a sense because we don't have to we don't have to work too hard to make it good. It's there for us. The part has been written, it's good, it's a fully fleshed out character, and therefore I just have to commit, and then we're good.
Is there a scene you look back on still to this day from this game as one that had the most impact on you or pushed you as an actor?
Um, yeah, I think the bell that tolls is such an amazing scene for the game, but also my character, because I think it says a lot that they put a scene like that in. I guess it says that we, as an audience, maybe we do really care about this little shit called Hans. Because, why would you have that music? Why would you have that quest where you have to save him? Why would the stakes feel so high if we didn't love the character? So I knew that, and I was like, oh, it means a lot that this is such a pivotal part of the game, pivotal part of the story, and important because clearly that must mean we value this character. So yeah, that was a really great thing to do, and just a very moving day, very heavy day in the studio as well.
That's a tough, I've found that to be a tough quest. People are getting a bit stuck on that one. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that load. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
It's a
have to
tricky
do it
one.
like 40 times. Yeah.
You're not up to it yet, are you?
Nowhere near, I don't think. No, I've just found Mutt though. Just found Mutt.
Hey,
Yes,
nice.
I've got my
Nice.
Mutt. Yeah.
Beautiful. So how many hours into you now? I know you're streaming the whole thing. This is your first time playing, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm on today I'm doing another one at 2 o'clock, and we're up to I've done this is my seventh stream of KCD 2, and I don't know how many hours. I mean, I must be about 30, something like that.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I've done like five, five, two, two, two. It's probably yeah, nearly 30, edging up to 30.
And you're off the early build?
Yeah, I'm off the early.
Ah.
That was fucking funny, man. That was funny.
You didn't realize, did you, or what?
No, I did. I
Oh, you
didn't
did.
realize
Okay.
how bad. I didn't realize how bad.
Oh,
But basically, what happened was I sat down an hour before I streamed, and I promoted the stream, so a lot of people I knew were coming, and I was like, "Oh, this is exciting." And I sat down an hour before, and I was like, "I know there's a patch. Let me just check how long that'll take. Surely, like 10 minutes, right?" 9 hours it came up, and I was like, oh, I did not plan for that. That's crazy. So I had an hour before I was going to stream, and I was
yeah, I
like, well,
know.
do I
Panic.
cancel? I can't cancel the stream, so I'll just play it without the patch. And so we just played it without the patch, and you know what? It made for the funniest stream ever. And a lot of people that are really into gaming found it so interesting because they were like, "Oh, this is like a year old build. Let's have a look at how far the game has come since a year." And they could like compare the two, and I thought that was great. So actually, it turned out to be really good.
But you're committing to playing the entire game. You're going to probably, there's going to end up being 150 parts to the series.
Possibly, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm all in though. I'm strapping in. I'm going to do the whole thing. Yeah.
And then do you think you'll do other games after this? Or you haven't thought that far ahead?
I'd love to. Obviously, I'd love to. I have auditioned for one recently, and the thing about games is it takes a while. So I don't know if I'll hear for a while what their plans are and if they're going to include me, but it was a good game and
Nice.
very exciting project that I would love to be a part of. And
Fingers crossed.
yeah, I have friends that have worked on that as well, and I messaged them about it, and they were like, "Yes, let's hope you get it." So yeah, like, fingers crossed. That'd be great.
And I know you're a bit of a gamer. I mean, back in your school days, Battle of
Mm.
Middle Earth.
Oh
What
yeah,
else? Age of Empires.
yeah.
What else did you get
Warcraft,
into?
Warcraft
Warcraft.
3.
Yep.
Yeah,
RuneScape.
absolutely big RuneScaper. Big RuneScaper.
Which one did you sink the most time into?
I think probably RuneScape was like
Mm,
my biggest one, because that was one I would go on with my friends after school, and we'd meet up on there. The nerds that we were, and what else? What else? And then, of course, the PS5, the PlayStation era and the Xbox era, where I would play like, Prototype and Need for Speed Underground 2 and Def Jam Fight for New York. I loved that game. And it's so rogue, but I loved it. But then you've got like even older, like Abe's Odyssey and
I love
um,
Abe. Yeah.
yeah. So I was a gamer very much so in my young years, but I think there was a part of me when I went off to drama school and stuff, I was like, okay, I've got to knuckle down. I can't get distracted. I took the whole thing really seriously because it was a big deal getting into a drama school in London. And I was like, right, no, don't, no distractions. I've just got to focus. That was the wrong choice. I was way too like gung ho about it. I should have been much more relaxed and like let myself have fun as well. But you live and learn. You live and
So you
learn.
only got back into it more recently?
Well, I started playing KCD 1 about 2 years ago, when I
Wow.
because I thought, it'd be nice to connect with the fans, and it'd be good to like actually play this game I'm in, which I'd never done. And the game's been out over 6 years, but it was only a couple of years ago that I started playing it. So I did a few streams, and there were only about maybe 100 people watching at that time, which
That's
I thought it
great.
felt like a million
Yeah, that's
to me.
good.
I was like, I can't believe that. Um, but things have changed quite dramatically
Yeah.
since then.
Did I see 20K nearly or something crazy
It
like
was at
that?
one
Yeah.
at one point. It will never
No,
always be
no,
that.
that's
No,
tough to
that's great.
maintain. Yeah.
But yeah, no, 20K at one point. In
Yeah.
when I was yeah, that was crazy. I think I average about five at the moment, 5K, which is still like just unfathomable to me. But yeah, yeah,
That's actually really good. That's on YouTube and Twitch.
that's across both.
Which
Yeah.
do you find more interaction? YouTube.
It's fairly split,
Mm,
because the thing was I focused so much more on YouTube because I didn't even know the value of Twitch and like how good Twitch was. And so I really pushed YouTube for like a year, and then YouTube grew. But then a lot of streamer friends that I now know were like, "Oh no, you got to push Twitch because Twitch is actually better for the consumer. It's better for you. It's better." And so I started pushing that after. So it's kind of evening out now,
yeah.
and who knows which will win. But
Well, yeah, if
yeah,
you could keep doing both, why not? I say.
yeah, it's easy to do both, so I'll just do that.
Yeah. So it took me, I think, what, 250 hours to get to the wedding? I know I saw you I see you've seen a few people saying that. I'm still not at the
Yeah,
wedding.
yeah.
But I do love how that wedding, the more time you do put in before that wedding, the more rewarding that whole thing is. You'll know all the
I bet.
characters, and it's just brilliant game design.
I bet. I mean, I don't know if I have ADHD, but this game is starting to make me think that I do because I get so distracted by little things that happen. And there are so many little things that happen. There's so many side quests that you're like, oh, I was gonna go find Matt, but this guy needs help with his sacks or whatever. And you're like, yeah, and you're just suddenly you're lost in another thing. And you're like, oh, what was I actually doing? Oh, that, yeah, let's go back. So I don't know how I don't know if I'll make it to the wedding. I'll probably be 80 years old. Like, yeah.
This is the first game I've enjoyed carrying sacks around. I'll definitely
I
say
know, right?
that.
They're so good, aren't they? How do they make like because the thing that people always said was, oh, but it hasn't got Dungeons and Dragons. So it hasn't got dragons and magic, so who cares? But it's like there's plenty of magic in real life, guys. There's plenty of magic in real life.
And the cast of characters in this game, incredible,
Mm,
just so
yeah.
versatile, all different, all fleshed out. You do not see
Mhm.
this very often.
They're frigging wonderful. There's a group of actors that are based in Prague, and many of them are English. So for the English speaking roles, they would be brought in a lot. They're almost like the A team, and they come in, and they're similar faces, but they're all just so wonderful to work with. Really seasoned pros and fantastic. Yeah. So I love hanging out with those guys when I get to see them. I got to see them at the launch party for the game, and they were all there, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's like Band of Bastards." It was
Did,
great.
I mean, did you notice a difference from one to two playing it now? Like how much better it is, how much better it plays, and because this is the
100%.
game they wanted to make with the first, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just smoother, isn't it? It's just
Mm,
smoother, and it's I mean, the graphics are so much better, at least for me, because I'm playing on PS5. And actually, on PS5, the first game looks not great at
mm,
all, in my
mm,
opinion.
mm.
But that hopefully they'll patch that one day. But the on PC, I see people playing the first game who are proper streamers, and they've got like the highest graphics for it. I'm like, whoa, that really holds up. That looks amazing.
Or
So
just
maybe
the ports. Yeah.
yeah, maybe I should have played the first game on PC, but it's no, I mean yeah, no, the mechanics, the fighting, the I mean it's lovely to be able to do blacksmithing, and the alchemy is really cool. It just feels it all feels so real and immersive, and yeah, robust is the best word I would give it. It feels more robust.
Have you just gone up to an NPC and just followed them for a day? Because that's,
Not
I know
yet.
it sounds random, but I did it. And they do all these different things. And it's just crazy because half the people will never see this. Like this
I know.
NPC's gone, gets the wood, chops it, puts it in the fire, goes have dinner, talks to
Yeah.
people. It's just,
You
that's just one NPC too, by the way.
Absolutely. I saw this video of a guy, and he's is it called the Brummy Gamer or something? I can't remember. But he followed a NPC who had beat him at dice, and he suspected she was cheating. So he followed her to her chambers where she goes to sleep. He robbed her of her clothes and the weighted dice, and then he waited till morning, and he went back to the tavern where she goes, and he was like, right, so there's two things that are going to happen. Either she's going to have her clothes back and she'll have a weighted dice like in every other game, as you would expect, or she won't, and this is the best game that's ever existed. And he sat down with her, and he went over, and she's like, oh my God, she's wearing a nightgown. She's wearing a nightgown. Oh my God. She didn't have her clothes, and then he
Yep.
plays her at dice, and he won, and he had her dice, and he was like, "This is greatest game ever, done. It's over. This is insane. This is just a random NPC, and it wins life." I was like, "That is amazing."
It does remind me of Red Dead 2, these details. Have you played Red Dead 2?
I have, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty extensively actually. I've played it a
Yeah.
lot. I love it.
Yeah, it's very, I know they drew inspiration from it. Well, it's a
Yeah.
hell of a game to, it's a good game to choose to draw inspiration from. But just
Hell yeah.
those, yeah, those little details, as I say, that just, only if 20% of people find them, but those
Mhm.
20% will love, and I'm one of them. Just incredible stuff. Did you do much sword fighting yourself since you
No,
landed this role?
no, not at all. We never need to, because they use, because it's motion capture, performance capture, they can use the real deal. They can get guys in who do this for a living. They're HEMA practitioners. Um, so it would be really counterproductive to train Tom and I up to do sword fighting when, we'll probably get good at it over time, but they'd have to pay for that. Just bring the real guy in, you know, or girl.
So how did you find them? The performance capture, right? Not mocap?
It's performance capture,
Yeah.
yeah. So you got the head cams, you're in the suits and the voice. So it's the whole shebang.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's what you do first before the voiceover.
Was it like that in the first game though?
It was, except for we didn't have the face cams.
Ah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
facial expressions in the cutscenes was all done in post rather than being captured in real time on set.
And so, how much voice booth work versus PCAP would you say on this one? What's the percentage split off the top of your head?
30 to 70 in the favor of
Yeah,
voiceover, because obviously with voiceover you're doing dialogues that have many different forks in the road, so it takes longer because the performance capture is just cutscenes.
mm,
It's just cutscenes. So the cutscenes, obviously, there is a lot of cutscenes, and Tom does a million hours, but with voiceover, you've got a scene where, you ask Capon to carry sax, and he says no. And then you really try and convince him, and he might say no in a different
that's
way,
exactly how mine went. And it
right?
didn't work.
So
It was never
you
going to
try
work.
everything, you try everything. And so we've got to record all those different
uh,
outcomes because for every person, that conversation is going to go very differently based on what they choose. So voiceover just takes a long, long, long time to do all those outcomes.
Brother, why wouldn't you just help me carry the sack? Come
Because
on,
you're
man.
a peasant and I'm a noble. Okay, I don't know if you know about Bellatoras, Laboratories. Do you know about this? Oratoras? No? Mr. Allen,
Ah.
you call yourself a gamer.
Come on.
Christ.
But I'm all for equality. Is that the word? Equality. Oh, I don't know. What am I
Equality is for
saying? Yeah.
peasants. You've got equality among the peasants, sure, but not when it comes to the nobility.
What I'm guessing Tom, the number one
Hmm.
thing people say to him is, "Are you feeling hungry?" Right?
Hmm.
What's that thing for you that fans say the most to you?
Are you yanking my pizzle? The pizzle has become the pinnacle pizzle of the world. Like that's all I hear now. Pizzle, 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 and I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. Yeah.
Hey, let's check back in 5 years if you're still enjoying it as much. Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. I've
and
spoken
and
to some
people,
actors that, they've got that catchphrase and, 10, 15 years later, it's
it's
wearing
still
down a
going.
little bit.
Yeah, no, it'll never end, and people still are just like you do. Like, can you just help me carry the sacks, Luke? For fuck's sake! And I'm like, all right, guys. Yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny.
Do you think there would ever be an opportunity to play as Hans versus Henry? Do you think they'd ever go in that direction?
Uh, oh, I see what you mean.
You see
Like
what I mean?
be the
Mm.
playable character as Hans.
Yeah.
I've no idea. I mean, is that something people would want to do? Because if you think about that, it'd be really different
Mm.
player experience. Because with Henry, and Tom has been very careful, and the studio have been very careful to do this. Like Henry is whoever you want him to be. He looks like a dude, and he's got circumstances. He is a man, a young man in Bohemia, and like so he's not. You can't make him anything you want him to be like Baldur's Gate. Very different thing, but he is still a role-playing character that is an open vessel with a multitude of things that you can make him do and make him behave like. Whereas if you did that with Hans, I don't know. I mean, he's a character that he isn't a
Yeah.
vessel.
Yeah.
He's got a certain set of
The
pred
options of dialogue would be similar. Yeah.
predilections. He's got a certain character that must stay on a certain track. And so I don't know. I mean, it could be amazing. It could be really fun. But it would have to just be done in the right way. So who knows, man?
You
Who knows?
auditioned for Henry, right? And they said, "We think Hans is for you." What do you ever find out what that was that they saw in you? I mean, they picked the right guy. Don't get me wrong, but did you ever ask them, specifics or anything
I
like that?
did. I did, yeah, no, I was so intrigued, and I've got a great relationship with Dan Vavra, the creative director, and we go for beers with the team. And one night I asked him, and I was like, "Why me? Go on, tell me, why me?" And of course, why Tom as well. and he was like, to be honest with you, out of all of the actors and the tapes that we saw, you and Tom were the only ones, and he meant that. He was like, you were the only ones who understood the the tenor of the scene, like what the scene is really about. And it's supposed to be light-hearted and a bit funny, particularly one scene he was referencing. And a lot of the other actors, God bless them, thought it was really dramatic and serious, and it wasn't intended. So obviously you read it and you got it, and it was obvious to us who to pick because you understood the game, you understood the world. So that's why he said. And then of course when I flew out and I did the proper audition in front of him in the flesh, I did more scenes and was reading for Hans, not Henry, at that point. He was giving me scenes from that character, and then they were like, "Yeah, I think this is it." So
That must have been nerve-wracking at that time because you still
very
haven't landed the role just yet. You can still kind of screw it up.
100%. Yeah, it was so weird to fly to another country being 21.
One, man, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's young.
And that was big for me. That was the biggest thing that had ever happened to me in terms of career. I just started my career, so it was like one of the first things that happened. And I was like, what if I don't get it and I have to fly back home? What an awful feeling that's going to be. That was, it was amazing to get that and be able to go back on the flight knowing I got it.
Who's the first person you call when you get the all clear?
Oh, my mum,
Yeah,
always. Yeah, always. My mum's the first person I will call and tell any good thing that's ever happened to me. Yeah.
including this interview. So I've just come
Yeah.
off with my favorite interviewer, Dan, right?
The
Just
goat. The goat and I have just had a lovely conversation, mum. Yeah.
shout out to mum. What is she? She's not a gamer. Why am I asking this?
She's not, but
I've gone off the deep end now.
she bought a console
She
so she
did.
could play this game.
Oh, that's brilliant.
She
What a
actually
legend.
did. I know, man.
That's
She is.
so supportive. That's awesome.
It's so supportive. I was like, Mum, you're not even going to get past the prologue. What are you doing? But it's good that the prologue is all me and Henry, because at least she'll go through that and she'll be like, this isn't for me, but she'll experience the prologue. And I hope she gets to experience like up to the bit with where I'm dragging Henry through the woods and he's injured. Like I wanted to see that stuff and like how well made and well thought through and how beautiful and creative and cool that is. I was blown away by the prologue. I think it's one of the best prologues of any game.
Mm.
I think it's so good. So yeah.
Well, I'm in awe of those battle scenes, those cinematic
Mm.
battle, those fights. They're just so much fun, man. I love that part of the game.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
I can't wait. I can't wait. The idea of getting to Kuttenberg is so exciting because I'm still, I'm still in
Still
the
a fair way, yeah.
little towns, but yeah.
But there's something special about that first town as well. That
Mm.
kind of get to come to grips with everything. And at first, I'm like, "Fuck, I've just got no money," um,
Mm.
you know, and you're
Yeah,
just
it's
trying to
tough.
make ends meet.
The feeling of getting your first nice chunk of change
Oh,
and raiding your first bandit camp is like
mm.
no other. It's like, oh my God, I am the boss. I am killing it. Because you've come from nothing. You've come from nothing.
Well, you've probably
So
got a bit of a cheat sheet with the chat. Oh, go here, Luke. Oh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they help. They help a lot. And believe me, I friggin' need it. I really do.
Have you cheesed the dice game yet, like me? I've got six threes, so I just win every game now. It's pretty bad. Yeah,
I'll be
it is
honest with
bad.
you.
It is bad.
I'm I'm still getting my head around so many parts of the game. So I just learned alchemy and I learned how the mechanics of that work. Then I learned a bit of blacksmithing, so I know how that works. I learned lock picking, I know how that works. I haven't got to dice yet. So
Oh, have you?
I avoided it in the first game. I never played dice, and I always called a friend of mine, Roxy, up, and I'd be like, "Can you just do the dice for me?" And she would watch my stream and just tell me what to place. every time. So like if I have to get th through dice in this quest, I can't. So I'm gonna learn that next. I'm
You're
gonna
not going to
learn how to.
call her again for this game?
No, no, I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna learn it. I have to learn
Okay.
it. Yeah, and I know it won't take long, but there's so many little factions, and it takes time.
What do you think about Hans resonates with everyone? Why do you think he's such a beloved character?
I think he Do you know what? He's not that relatable in the sense of where he comes from. He's not relatable to me in terms of where he comes from. He's this n very noble, very privileged kid, and I'm not that. And I don't always get on with people like that, right? Because they tend to be a little bit spoiled. But I think what we like about him is that we're allowed to hate him when we first meet him. This is the number one thing people have always said for for 6 years that the first game came out. They're like, I hated you at first, but then I grew to love you. And I think that's what people like. It's that he's a very multifaceted person, and we're surprised when we end up liking him. We're like, God, how did you do that? I hated you, and now you're making me feel something, you twat. And I think that's just speaks to the writing, of course, and um, we have friends like that. We have people we've met in our lives that maybe we didn't like at first, but we grew to love them. And you have these, relationships and friendships are complex. They're not simple. You're not always going to get on. And I think he's funny. I think he's
Oh,
funny. He's he offers a comic relief in the game, which you so desperately need sometimes in the darkest moments. And I've been very lucky to travel a lot with work, and we've been to some pretty crazy dark places. And what you notice is that in the darkest moments of life, people use their humor more. They are funnier. They have to because it's the one thing they have. And so you'll find people smiling in refugee camps, and
mm.
and they find light in the darkest places because it's a necessity to do that.
I think he honestly he'd be in the top 10 funniest characters of all time
Mm,
for me. Um,
absolutely.
he's brilliant. You do such a good job, man, and I hope you get to do it for many, many more years. I hope there's a third game,
Oh,
a fourth, a fifth,
thank you.
six. Okay, that six
I
might be
hope
too
so
many.
too, man. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I really hope so too.
Where would you take the third game? If you had the creative rights, Dan said, Luke, I want you to take over my job. Here you go, mate. Where are we
Well,
taking
first of
this
all,
thing?
they'd be fucking crazy to do that. But yeah, no, if money wasn't a problem and time wasn't a problem, I'd take us to the Hussite Wars. I think that's an
Oh,
incredibly,
yes.
incredibly rich part of history that not enough people know about. And I think it would be really difficult to do that with a game such as this because it would require so much like data to be in a war arena. Like that is going to be really
Demanding.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the stories that would come out of that, the weight and the stakes, and all of the little bits of history that happened during that time would be astonishing. However, wherever if they do anything, I'm sure Warhorse will smash it. Even if I'm not involved, I'm sure they'll smash it because it's that they never get it wrong. It's all heart. It's all coming from passion, and that's why they don't fail. That's why they kill it because it's not about money. It's not about money for them. And Play On, the company that owns them, don't involve themselves too much in any of the story elements. They let them get along with it, embrace a group. They just go, we trust you because you know what you're doing. And we hope it does well, but just keep doing what you're doing. And that's why the success of the company is so huge because they're doing it from genuine passion. So they'll kill it.
Did they have an internal goal, like how many sales they wanted? Was it 2 million?
I think they smashed goals. I think
Yeah,
it exceeded all expectation for them.
that's awesome.
Yeah, really awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh,
Really.
yeah, I love successes because, half the time now we're hearing about closures and, people being laid off and everything. So it's really good to see success.
But that speech from the head of Larian at the last year's Game
Mm,
Award was said
Sven,
it
yeah,
all. Said it all, right? He was like, I can predict who's going to win next year. It's essentially going to be the studio that makes a game because they want to make the game and not to fulfill any kind of, spreadsheet
yeah,
forecast
yeah.
nonsense, corporate nonsense. It's you're making a game, make a good game, and you'll probably do really well.
I'm guessing you've met some of the devs. Like, have you seen them actually working on the game in the studio?
Oh
Or
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm really close with Warhorse and we go out drinking together and we have fun. Like I've met I wouldn't say I've met all of them
No, no.
because there's about 250, 300 people, but
How
I've
dare you,
definitely
Luke?
tried.
Come on.
I know, terrible. No, I've tried though. I've tried and
Ah, good on you, man.
they're so sweet. They're so sweet and no, I love them to bits. They're the most lovely people, the Czechs. They're great.
When did Dan tell you about, okay, we're going to do a romance scene, you and Henry?
Hmm.
Let's get cracking.
Yeah.
What?
Well, me and Tom just saw it as like any other romance scene.
It.
I hadn't done one. Oh no, I suppose I'd done a little bit of it with the first game with the DLC with the Amorous Adventures, but um, no, I mean we just you're an actor, you do it. It's an important thing. We treated it with the weight that it d deserves because the thing that I found so interesting about that. I haven't talked much about this, but I find it really interesting, like how you're on the eve of battle and you're almost certain that Henry's going to die. You're almost certain that we might die. And so that, and also you're in a time period where it's incredibly, in that time, particularly, very much a transgression in the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the public to do what you're about to do. So if you do that, you must the sense of foreboding, the sense of risk is so high, the stakes are so high,
The love must
so
be there. Yeah.
that it's got to be there, and it's got to be really passionate because it's so risky, and but at the end of the other thing is like, well, now or never, because we might die anyway. So that all of that going on in your head is very interesting, and I hope it came across. I think it's such a it was such an interesting part of the game, and like I think I really commend Warhorse for putting that in. And I'll say that also that was I think that's in not only just because Dan wanted to do it, he thought it would be cool, but also like it was lobbied for. Dan said himself, he was like the fans wanted it. So many of them wanted it. So it's nice that the option's there, but it's like it is an option. You don't have to do it, but it's nice that you can if you want.
Yeah, I kind of end up being a bit of a slut in these games. I kind of just get with everything.
How
I just
dare you,
get, come
sir?
on, man.
How
I
dare
really,
you? How dare am I not the only one for you?
I literally,
Honestly,
Baldur's Gate, I slept with as many people as I possibly could,
uh,
octopuses to bears,
never,
you name it.
never trust a peasant. Never trust a peasant.
So when you say you do filmmaking, what are you directing? Are you behind the camera? Are you editing? Are you all facets?
Yeah, yeah. So in order to get my head around that stuff, because I should say the reason I even got into it was because I when I was acting and auditioning. When I just left drama school, I had a mentor, and they said to me, "You need something to keep your mind occupied when you're not auditioning, when things aren't going well. So have a hobby, have something." So I thought, well, I'll really like documentaries, so I'll make documentaries. So I made a documentary, and it ended up going really well. I ended up interviewing people like Judi Dench and Derek Jacobi and Stephen
Nice.
Burkoff and Imelda Staunton. It was about theatre. It was about repertory theatre that we used to have in this country. And it was very prolific and very important part of the culture.
Sorry to cut you off. What is that exactly? I'm a bit of
Rep-
a
No, no. Repertory theatre is a a theatre system where the actors belong to a theatre for a very long, protracted period of seasons, and they come become part of a town. So the audience will come and watch that actor, their favorite actors every week in a different play. And it would be like either
Oh,
weekly or two weekly, a different
wow.
play would be on. So you'd be playing the play in the evening, you'd be performing it, and then in the daytime you would rehearse the next play, and you
Jeez.
just constantly roll on. And this was like huge in most Western countries. It was massive in the UK from, since oh God, I mean,
And they're
at
playing
the
different
time,
characters every time.
yeah, yeah, and you're really fleshing out like what you can do and what you can't do. It's such an apprenticeship. That's what I called the film. It's called the actor's apprenticeship, because you're going into, imagine as a young actor, you leave drama school and then you go and work with a company of actors, many of which are much older, really experienced. You're learning from them every day. It was like the greatest training you can imagine for an actor,
Oh,
and it just died. The whole thing just died. Like they didn't have the funding anymore. And a lot of the older actors that we know and love, like Ian McKellen and Judi Dench and Maggie Smith, would go on and on about it and how great it was for them that they got to do it and how young actors don't get the opportunity. And I was always like, I've got to make a film about this because young actors don't even know it existed. So that was the goal, and that's
I
actually
didn't
on my
know.
yeah, it's on my YouTube, and it's a dated film because it was my first film, so it doesn't look great. But what is said in it, I think, is still quite interesting. So if anyone wanted to watch
Don't
that,
sell
you can.
yourself short. No, I'm very keen to check that out.
Thanks.
Are you working on any others at the moment, or are you a bit flat out?
No, right now I don't have any plans to make like an independent film of mine. However, I do make films regularly with the company I work with. So I work with the UK's like number one camera retailer. And so with them, I make films like every week, whether it be mini documentaries or reviews of cameras or tutorials on how to shoot a certain type of photography or film. And so like that keeps me super busy and is like really like fun and
Do you
and
mean
varied.
cameras
So
as in like red cameras, Sony's, or are we talking, what are we
pretty
talking?
much everything. We mostly
Yeah.
do consumer-based products. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, like not
Not the high end. Yeah.
Arri Alexas and
Yeah.
Red West,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because no one's just buying those off the
Yeah.
shelf. Yeah, so we tend to cover the more affordable but still great, amazing products. And yeah, that's the content we make.
I like the Black Magic. I think they're Aussie.
Right, me
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. I think they're pretty affordable, pretty good 4K cameras for people getting into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure you've heard this question before, but I got to ask it. If you were dropped into the world of KCD, what would your role be? Would you be the jester? Would you be the blacksmith? Where did you find yourself, do you think?
Oh, I well, I'd definitely just be a peasant. I don't think I don't see myself as very noble at all in real life. And I'd be the guy in the pub drinking myself to death and yeah, just like doing a bit of manual labor and living a very simple life probably. But like trying to make everyone laugh. That'd be me.
Oh, by the way, because I know you're a bit of a film buff,
Mm.
Mount Rushmore, top four of all time, off the top of your head.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. So let's call Lord of the Rings one, but as a trilogy. So that's obviously at the very, very, very tippity top. That will always be at the top. I think they're the
10
greatest
out of
films ever.
10. Yep, I agree.
50 out of 10. Doesn't even compare. Doesn't even compare. Um, then well, the posters are on my wall. So
Oh, nice.
the selfish giant would be next.
The Selfish Giant.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I really like. Uh, I'm a bit of a sucker for a very depressing film. And I don't mean
I've
to
never
sound
heard of it.
wank. Yeah, it's not a well-known film. I don't mean to sound
Hmm.
like a wanker, like, oh, I really
No,
like.
no, no,
But
no, no. Go
it
for it.
it it just it just hit me like a train in terms of its depth, and it made me cry a lot, and it just there's something in it that touched me, and so I've never forgot it, and I've only ever watched it once. I can't watch it again. I'm going to watch it again when I'm probably in my 50s or something like that, and see how different I feel. But it was made by a lady called Clio Bernard, and it's a UK based film set in the north of England, and it's the most bizarre. She's a genius director. She's done other amazing films. Um, but I implore people to watch that
Yeah, I'm gonna add it now to my watch
if
of
you like a
label.
sad movie,
I
that
don't,
is
but I will watch it. For you, I
you
will
won't
watch it.
like you won't like this. But it's really good. It's just so powerful, powerful film.
Yeah.
Um,
I end up loving them, but it's hard to start them because you kind of want to feel good after a film, and sometimes these films, you leave a bit, you know,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, they're not, as I say, they're not films that I would go back and watch a lot. They're just films that have moved me
impact. Yeah.
so much that I have to put them in the list because there was something about them that was so resonant within me. And so that's like what I think great art is about. Um,
Mhm.
so the other one would be Nil by Mouth and not many people know this, but it's the only film Gary Oldman ever directed and wrote. So Nil by Mouth is it's got Ray Winston and Kathy Burke in it, and Ray Winston plays this alcoholic, abusive husband to Kathy Burke, and it is again really harrowing, really sad, heavy, horrible, but amazing. And the reason it gets a space in my top four is because of Ray Winston's ability to be so realistic in his portrayal of someone who is chronic alcoholic, uh, degenerate piece of shit. I mean, it's just perfect. He's perfect. It's so real. I was like, is he acting? Is this real? Is he actually like this?
Wow.
Um, it was
Fascinating.
so good. I couldn't believe
Yeah.
it. It's one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. And then
Wow.
finally, oh God. Well, I've given you one, two, three. I've
Tell me
given you
there's
three.
four movie posters up.
There are. But
Okay.
yeah, okay. The
But you don't want to
final
pick
one.
one of them. Why not? What's holding you back?
Um, I'm good. Wait, I've got a list
Yeah,
here.
get the list up,
I've got
please.
a list because
Get
there's
the
so
list up.
many, man.
I
There's
love
so
that you've got
many.
a list.
Well, but people ask me so much because I'm a filmmaker. They're like, "Oh, what are your favorite films?" And I'm like, "I'll have to write these down." Um,
You don't want to get it wrong too. The pressure. You
you
don't
know
want to go,
what?
oh, I should have said this.
It's so hard to pick because there's so many on my list, but I'm gonna go with The Dark Knight by Chris Nolan.
Hey!
It's fucking amazing, and
Yes, Luke.
yeah, you don't get better than that.
Brilliant.
It's just amazing. Yeah,
Now that's a top four I couldn't have predicted.
so random. But
Too
I've got an
mainstream,
eclectic
too,
taste.
yeah, too eclectic, but that's great. Oh, that's
Yeah,
fantastic list. You got a bit of everything.
yeah.
Um, couple more before I let you go, Luke, and thanks again, man. It's been a real pleasure to have you on.
Thank
Um,
you.
so a lot of people, Hans is their favorite character. I've seen it a lot lately. Hans is really becoming my favorite character of all time. Who's
Oh,
your favorite gaming character of all time?
Henry. I know that's an
Oh,
obvious
that's
choice
awesome.
because it's Tom, and I love Tom, and I think he's done such a great job, and I'll never forget working with him, and he will always have this very like strong place in my heart because like it's just I think what he's done. I mean, he's literally broken world records with the amount of work he's done. If that doesn't tell you the dedication and the effort, I mean, the poor guy would go into the booth when everyone else could only manage 4 hours in the voiceover booth because it's so taxing on your energy and your voice. He'd do 8. And I'm not exaggerating. He
No,
would
I
do
don't hear
eight.
that often. Yeah, it's
He would do
usually
eight
four.
hours.
Yeah.
He would do 8 hours. And I honestly don't know if I could do it. I don't know
Hmm.
if I could. And the reason he did 8 hours wasn't because it was because he's got a family, and he was like, if I do four, I'm going to be out here almost twice as long. And as much as I love coming to Prague, I got a family, so I want to be with them more. So he was like, I just think that's the most sweetheart, lovely thing. And so it will always be Henry for me. And I guess that's life imitating art. But yeah, there you go.
That's a great answer, man. That's a wholesome answer. I love that. Now, I'm going to ask him, and if he doesn't say you, we're going to have an awkward situation. You
He
know what?
won't
He's not a
again.
gamer, is he? So he
He
will be
might
right.
do. Let's hope,
Yeah.
fingers crossed, or I'll get him, the peasant.
I'll word him up anyway. Is there anything you want to say to the fans that have tuned in today or have been a big fan of you over the years of this game? They might be
Yes,
watching this in 5 years. They might be watching this tomorrow. What do you want to say?
I want to say that you are a bunch of peasants, okay? And never forget your place. But also, thank you for giving me my career, for allowing me to do the thing that I love, and I hope that this is the beginning of my career and not the end. Because yeah, I'm having the best time, and I hope it continues. But I just want to say thank you for allowing me uh, to keep doing it. It means the world.
And we can find you on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. You on TikTok? You're on
Everything.
TikTok as
Yeah.
well?
I am. I'm
Yeah.
prolific, sir. I
Oh,
chronically online. So
right.
yeah, I do apologize for being everywhere, but yes, I am.
So if we pulled up your phone now, what's the screen time? Who's winning? What app's winning?
I'm not telling anyone what my
Yeah, you better not. It could be a big number, I would suggest. No,
I,
thank
so
you, Luke. I appreciate your time. Before I let you go, is there a chance Hans could talk to Dan? Is that possible here to round this out?
could talk to Dan. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, what would you like?
Um, you mind scolding me, or calling me a peasant or yeah.
And in all of my years as the Lord of Rattay, I don't think I've ever come across someone as peasantry as you. Okay? This is this is 1403, and I am actually outraged at the questions you've asked, the most peasantry questions. Who do you think you are? Honestly.
Can you please just help me with the sax?
No, you're a peasant. I'm a Bellatorus. You're a Laboratorus.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And guys, make sure you check out Luke's streams. By the time you're watching this, he's probably live now or going to be live tomorrow or the next day. So make sure, I'm sure you'll be on 100K plus by now. But thanks again, man.
97. Let's go. Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate it, man. It really does mean a lot to me. So thank you. And great interview, great questions. Great to talk to you.